Welcome in to Beyond the Red Carpet. Today I have someone who maybe you might not recognize, but you will definitely recognize his name. Welcome, Ryan Cassidy. It's
Hello.
so great to have you.
Great to be here.
I'm going to give everybody just a little background on you before we start in. Your father, Jack Cassidy, amazing, talented actor, stage and screen, and singer. Your mother, Academy Award winner, actress and singer, Shirley Jones, who actually I've spent a little bit of time with. Your half brother, teen idol, singer, actor, David Cassidy. Your other brother, Sean, singer, actor, professional producer, writer, well respected. Your other brother, Patrick, singer, actor. And now we have Ryan, the youngest of the group, singer, actor, now you're a set producer and writer. You're an author.
Yeah. So
And
really,
go ahead.
not to change it, but I work in the art department for TV and film. So I work in set decorating.
Set decoration. Okay.
I've been doing that for almost 30 years.
Yeah, that's when I met you. We'll get into that towards the end. But this book is adorable. I just love it. It's called James Cagney Was My Babysitter.
Yeah.
And give a little background about how you came to spend the day with Jimmy Cagney.
So, the story goes back to 1973. It actually predates 1973 in the connection that my family had with James Cagney. My mom did a movie with James Cagney in 1957 called Never Steal Anything Small, and stayed in touch with him through the years. And my father and Jim and his wife knew each other through my mother. And so he was always kind of like part of our lives, but he lived in Los Angeles part of the time, but he lived back east. He had two homes back there. So my father stayed in touch with him, as did my mother. And there was one afternoon that my dad was picking me up to spend the afternoon with me. My mom and dad were separated at this time. And so my dad came to get me and for some reason had to go by the Cagney's house for something. And unexpectedly was going to have to take me back home and leave me back home. He had something that came up. Well, when the Cagneys knew that I was with him and that he had to change his plans with me, they asked if I would stay with there and that he could, would he pick me up later on? And that's exactly how it happened. I really didn't know Jimmy Cagney and his wife, except through the stories that I'd heard, and that he was a well-known actor and he'd done all these great movies. And
basically, this was the first time you ever met him.
Yeah, that I can remember the first time meeting him. I had heard about him through my mother and father, but I didn't really know him. So when I went there that day, it was at a house in Beverly Hills on Coldwater Canyon, a beautiful home. I didn't know what to expect. And it was all just, I didn't know how I was going to react being with some people that I didn't know. I had a hard time going to people's homes that I didn't know very well because I wanted to make sure that I didn't, mess anything up. I came from a perfectionist father and everything had to be sort of perfect with him. Not that he was a bad father, he was good to me, but he was a perfectionist. And so going to somebody else's home, I didn't know how I was going to respond to it. Well, that all completely was taken away from me. And it was just an incredible afternoon. And Mr. Cagney shared with me some of his personal interests that were not necessarily show business related. They were really more about drawing. And some of the appointments that he had that were part of the decoration of his home were just magnificent. And I remember as a little boy being kind of enthralled by it. Like, wow, this is a really cool place. He's got things that you wouldn't imagine an older man would have, just in terms of the style and the creativity that he put into it. And that really, I was enamored by that, and that left me, meaning that never left me, but when I left, it stayed with me. And I had always wanted to, when I have this drawing that he gave me, that's part of the story in the book that's been living with me
Yeah.
since day. Yeah, that's it. And I had always looked at that thinking to myself, there's something very special about that drawing and about my connection with him that I wanted to share with the whole world. And I wanted to share it in a way that was through the lens of a little boy, and what I remember my experience was then, and then how it manifested later as an adult.
And you were 7 when you were
Yeah,
dropped off at the Cagney, so to speak.
correct. Yeah. I was 7 years old. It was 1973. And when I had pieced it all together, when we first started with the first manuscript, I had to sort of figure out all the details of that afternoon, because I knew that it wasn't going to be a long book. It was always designed to be a short story book. But I wanted it to be, I wanted every page and every illustration to really give the viewer my experience from that day. That again, that stayed with me. And through all the years of all the different people I've met and stories that I've encountered in show business, and there was always all kinds of things that I could write about, but this was really something special to me that I wanted to share. And I wanted to share it not just for an adult to read, but for a child to read it, because children aren't going to know who James Cagney is.
No.
But
and grandparents to read to their grandkids too.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you don't necessarily have to know who James Cagney is. If you pick up the book and you read it, you'll know him by the end of the book, and I think you'll enjoy it.
So what is it that you want readers to come away with after reading this? Is there any specific message that you have in mind?
I do. I want readers to come away with the notion that they could have somebody that they sort of put on a pedestal as being a mentor or a performer or whatever it may be that they love in somebody, and that person is not always who they think that they are. That James Cagney didn't talk about James Cagney that day. He talked about wanting to get to know me and what my interests were. And that was something that really made me feel unique and special.
That is very special. Yeah.
Because of that, I always looked up to him like, I want to see his movies, but really I got to know him on a different level that was really unique and special. And so I think that what I want to convey, or the message that comes across, at least the message I want to send to people, is that at the end of the day, it didn't matter who James Cagney was. It was a really wonderful experience with an older man who made me feel unique and special, and I never forgot that.
That's a great memory to have and to keep and to share. You have one daughter.
I did, yeah.
Yeah. How old is she?
She's 12.
Okay, so her name is
Megan.
Megan. Okay. And how did she respond to this story?
So when I first thought of the idea of writing a short story about that afternoon, I had initially thought that Megan would be instrumental in maybe creating some of the illustrations for me. She's a wonderful, wonderful illustrator, artist. And so she had sort of started to put together a list of photos, or I should say just a book of photos, not photos, of illustrations that she felt that was her vision of what she saw that day being. And when she shared them with me, I really started to see it take form. And I thought, okay. And I kind of put it on the shelf, and then she said, Daddy, you got to do this. You got to do this book. And I said, I do, Megan, and I want to do it. And I want you to be part of it in some way. I want you to help me create like a storyboard with illustrations, and then translate that into wherever it's going to go, whether it be manuscript, and then hire an illustrator to do it. And she was a big part of it coming together, and a big part of the motivation in me finishing it up.
So that
And
was basically a little bit of a family affair
yeah,
on that one. That leads me to a great segue
yeah.
into Ruby and the Rockets. What year was that?
So Ruby and the Rockets was 2009.
Okay, and I'll tell the viewers that I had a fabulous day on set
Yeah,
with all the Cassidy brothers and Ryan, and we had lunch. And you know what struck me about that day is how down to earth all of you are. I've been on a zillion sets in my career, and I've got to know there's some stuck up people and those people that treat you like, no, no, no. Okay, I'm on set, I'm doing this. Every one of you from David to Patrick to Sean to Ryan, and it was just like family. I mean, you were family, but you treated us like family, all the media that was there, and wasn't that many, but that was a great experience for me. How was it working with all your family on that show?
it was beyond incredible. It was, to think of going to work every day and seeing every member of your family is something that you can either really look forward to, or you can go, no, 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 I don't want to. In our case, it was a very rewarding, it was a gift. And we always have had a unique relationship with each other. We're different, but we have a lot of love and respect for each other. And we are there for each other no matter what. My mother, I think, instilled a lot of that in us. And she's, my mom is about as down to earth as you're going to find, especially for being a movie star. And she never let any of that affect her. She did her job. She was talented. She was born with the gift to sing, even though she took singing lessons as a young girl, and her parents saw that she had something there and decided to kind of help her along with that. My mother always had these small town sensibilities that she instilled in my brothers and I, and which was that, go out, do your job, do it to the best of your ability, but don't define who you are based on your job. It's who you are as a person and how you respect and how you treat other people. And so that was something that was instilled in me, instilled in Patrick, instilled in Sean, to some degree David, because David was her stepson and played her son on Partridge Family.
Mhm.
That was
Well, I have a question that I ask all the second generation that I interview, is especially you now, because two of your brothers were teen idols. When you were growing up and you started dating and having friends of your own, did you ever feel that somebody was interested in you just to get close to Sean or Patrick or David or even your parents?
the way it worked is if there were people that had an ulterior motive with me as a friend, I saw it early on, and it fizzled out. It didn't last long. People that really wanted to know me for me and didn't judge me for anything else but just the friendship that I had with them, and they were there to support me and love unconditionally. That's what that's what sustained. That's the relationship that's sustained through, the trials that I went through in my friendships with people. And even though my family my brothers were, bigger than life pop stars and singers and actors when I was a young guy, I was kind of I was around a lot of movie stars' kids, so there wasn't anything unusual about my family. I went to a private school, and there was a lot of entertainers' kids that were well known. So there wasn't like a you're unique or I'm unique or anything like that. And that never really existed. It was about who are you, and are you fun to be with, and are you interesting, and all that kind of stuff. So I don't really
Okay.
that stayed with me. Yeah.
How close are you now with your brothers? Do you talk every day or every other day? How
Yeah,
does
we talk often. We don't talk every day, but we talk maybe a couple times a week. I certainly talk to my brother Patrick often. I don't talk to Sean as much, but I just saw him last weekend, and Sean is got very big family. He's got a lot on his plate. And I don't want to, unless it's something really important, we'll connect, but he's usually on the go 24/7. It seems like, you call him, but he always finds time to talk. And if it's important, he'll listen, like, what's going on with you? Are you okay? Patrick and I, we all are very different people, but we're very similar. You know what I'm saying? We're all our own unique personalities. And there's, like, for example, I have a unique relationship with Patrick that I might not have with Sean, and vice versa. And that's just being brothers, that's part of the being brothers. And I am very fortunate and blessed to have the relationships that I have with them.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't always end up in a good place, especially in show business. You can sometimes have, differences, and it can put a wedge in between your relationship with your siblings. And we've always managed to work through that. And even if there's an issue, we talk about it, So
That's nice. That's nice, because I did get the impression that you guys were close, are close, but I was just always astounded by how you treated us, how you treated, there was like, I don't know, 10 media people there that day, or 8. And it just was like you welcomed us into your home, into your family. It was a unique experience for me because, like I said, I've been on a zillion sets, and this stuck out. This has stayed with me.
I think that it starts at the top. When you're on a television show and you've got a showrunner, that showrunner, in our case, it was my brother Sean, he sets the tone for how things are going to then flow. And Sean had always felt like this was a family show, and literally a family show. And he is known for treating everybody with equal respect as he would his partners or his brother. He doesn't treat anybody any differently. He appreciates what you do. He remembers your name, and he makes you feel important. And that's a really great place to be. And when you work for somebody like that, you want to go to work every day. You want to give them the best you can give them. And we all kind of come from that same way of thinking as far as how we approach people. And Patrick and I and Sean and David all love each other, and we were that way with each other. So, there's no difference than being that way with other people. I want to be treated the way, I should say, treat me the way you want to be treated, and that's my approach to anything in life. So.
And you did the set decoration for that show and many others. Which show are you working on now?
So yeah, I was part of the set decorating department on that show, and I'm now part of. I'm on the show NCIS, but we just went on hiatus, and we're going into 21, and we just literally went on hiatus last week. And currently, I'm on a project at Universal Studios, and it's going to probably run a couple of months. I'm not on it every day, but it's nice to be at Universal because I live down the street from there, or rather up the street. So pretty cool.
Yeah, you can't tell us what it is yet.
Well, I don't want to reveal it because it's really not up to me to say.
Just between you and I mean, come on. No, okay. Something else like
for Apple TV.
Apple TV. Okay. Yeah. All right, I'll look into that eventually. Something else that when I was researching for this interview, I discovered, and it's also mentioned in the book. By the way, your mother does do a foreword to the book, which is really lovely.
Right.
But you were not really on the track to the entertainment field. You were interested in law enforcement, which really surprised me. What was it about that interested you? And you have some connection right now with the LAPD.
Yeah, I always liked public service work, and I liked being able to be in a position to give back to somebody who may not have been as fortunate as I was. And from the time I was a teenager, I was involved with a program with the Sheriff's Department called the Explorer Program. Mm-hmm. And I learned a lot about I went through a training program to where I graduated, and I was assigned to a station. And I learned a lot about people, and people that maybe were not, as I said, as fortunate as I was. And I wanted to be able to share and give back what was given to me. From it also made me appreciate really what I have and what family is all about. Because when you work in law enforcement, you work with all different kinds of people, and a lot of the time people are not. They were born into terrible families, and they're now struggling. And I really wanted to be able to go out there and be able to give of myself in some way where I could make a difference. And even though I didn't do it full time, I didn't become a law enforcement officer full time. I got involved with a program with the Los Angeles Police Department where I work as a volunteer specialist. And that's really fun. And I get to go out there and I still get to participate and give back. And it is a total polar opposite from what I was raised in. But it's rewarding for me. And I don't do it for money because I don't get paid.
No,
So
it's an interesting field to be involved with.
Yeah. And I've always been fascinated by crime and by the history of crime and by law and order. And I think that all kind of goes parallel to my interests, I don't believe I believe that there are, like anything, there are police officers out there that are incredibly wonderful at their job, and there may be ones that aren't. And like anything in life, and you just hope that the ones that are really great can make a difference in someone's life and have done something, have made that difference. So
absolutely. Are you still, I read that you were involved in the LAPD Museum. Are you still working with them?
Yeah. So the LA Police Museum, I've always been fascinated with museums. And when I found out about this museum, it's been around for quite a long time. It's actually was a former police station that was built in the 1920s. So it was an appropriate location to actually put the historical items of LAPD and house them. And I got involved as a board director, and I was fascinated by all the exhibits they had. And I had some ideas for new exhibits that I brought to the table, and the board approved it. And I'm very good friends with Kent McCord, who was one of the police officers at Adam 12. And I went to Kent and I said, Kent, we would like to do an anniversary honoring your show, Adam 12. And I would like to know if you'd be willing to participate in either loaning us or donating some of the things that you had from the show. And he had everything. So I put that exhibit together. And there was a lot of people that became law enforcement officers because of Adam 12. So it was very important that we honor the show and tell the story about how Adam 12 was made. There's a lot of parallels to the museum with television and film. And of course, I grew up in that. So we've got a Jack Webb exhibit. We've got all kinds of things that parallel to film and television and with law enforcement.
You mesh the two, law enforcement and your entertainment background.
Exactly.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, exactly. And that's part of the love that I have for it, I worked on a show called Southland, which was about LAPD. And while I was working on Southland, I had applied with the Los Angeles Police Department to be a specialist. At the time, it was called a reserve officer. And with the background and all the things that they do to sort of, we are vetted, they brought me in after several months, and I got in, and I've been in it since. So it's been fun.
Oh, that's very admirable. It really is, especially nowadays with everything going on. To be involved with police, I'm really impressed, and I admire you. And I want to give the viewers a little bit of background about your brothers and you as far as acting, because Sean was in the Hardy Boys. I saw Patrick on stage as Joseph in the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, and I told him when we were together, I told him I thought he was the best Joseph I'd ever seen. I'm serious, flat out. You have been in the Facts of Life sitcom. Is that where you started acting, basically?
Yeah, Well, my first professional acting job, there really wasn't any dialogue, was a music video with Lionel Richie,
Mhm.
TV, and the song was Penny Lover. And when I graduated high school, I signed with a manager and an agent, and I started going out on auditions. And I thought that that's really what I wanted to do. And I still have a love for acting, but I don't do it professionally anymore. Well, I went out, I auditioned for the role of Kevin Metcalf, which was a series regular. I had a rather recurring role on Facts of Life. And I tested for the network and I got the job. And I enjoyed it. It was fun. And the irony is that I'm working at Universal Studios right now, and the stage that I did that show on is next door to the one that I'm working on. So,
Wow, what goes around comes around, you know?
Yeah.
This is all interconnected. Well, we are almost out of time. We have 2 minutes left. You have one daughter. Patrick has 2 sons.
Yeah.
Sean has how many kids?
Sean has 7 kids, and then he has a stepdaughter.
Yeah. Okay. And David had 2 kids, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do all the cousins, are they connected? Do they all get together, or are you just really?
Yeah. Well, we just last Sunday, Turner Classic Movies hosted their film festival, and they showed The Music Man at the Grauman's Chinese Theater, and we brought my mom down and had an amazing afternoon and got to see The Music Man sitting next to mom and my brother Sean, and all the grandkids were there, and they got up on stage afterwards, and she got up and thanked everybody for coming. So
I would have loved to have been there. That was amazing. I've seen pictures of what happened that night, but just to have Shirley Jones with you watching the music. What was your favorite movie that your mom did? Do you have a favorite?
I don't, because they're all so special and unique.
And
as far as just her ability to go to a different kind of performance and really go to a far cry than what she'd already played. I love Elmer Gantry, and that's what she won support the Academy Award for that.
Right. Well,
if I would have a favorite, it would probably be Oklahoma or Carousel. So
really, Gordon McRae. Okay.
Yeah.
I want to tell everybody to go out and get James Cagney Was My Babysitter. It's a really adorable, heartfelt story from you, with a wonderful intro by your mother, Shirley Jones. And hopefully do you think you'll have a series of books? Because that would be fun.
We'll see. I'm talking about it right now, so we'll see where that goes.
Fabulous. Okay, well, Ryan, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate you spending your time with me and with all of my viewers. And for the viewers, I will see you next time when we take another look beyond the red carpet.
Thank you very much. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
With over 30 years of experience in real estate and the mortgage industry, Darlene Mays provides knowledge and expert guidance to clients looking to buy or sell a home. Serving clients throughout South Orange County, Darlene specializes in the senior community of Laguna Woods Village. Darlene works with her clients to ensure the highest level of service, from the beginning of the process right down to the closing table. If you are looking to buy or sell, who you work with really does matter. Call Darlene Mays today.